So for the class changes, Balanced Druid Starfall doesn't affect PvP at all, it's an AoE ability. Raptor Strike, Moongoose and Kill Commander is getting buffed by 15% and Wild Bomb is getting nerfed by 10%. That means if you are permanently standing max range as a hunter, you will have slightly less DPS, but if you're a lot or most of the time in melee range, you will have slightly more DPS. Because Kill Command, Moongoose and Raptor Strike would buff. If you're perma melee range, you have slightly more damage. Plus next season, item level is going to be higher, so that means that survival is already S tier. That means that next patch, survival is going to be even more OP. Clear casting duration increased to 20 seconds plus 15 seconds. This just helps you basically stack your clear casting procs. Good for PvE and PvP. Because as an Arcane Mage, I played Arcane Mage myself. You sometimes want to spam Arcane Explosion. And then I noticed a lot of the time, if clear casting was only 15 seconds, I would get 2 stacks. And then I'm trying to get the 3rd stack, but it just drops off because it vanishes too fast. Spinning Crane Kick reduced by 5%. In PvP, this basically doesn't do anything. You will still get globaled, especially with the new eye level. Armor increased by 5%. And Holy Shield basically just makes Prot Paladin more tanky. So next season, Prot Paladin DPS healer is going to be very strong. Shadow AoE is going to get buffed. Mind Shear doesn't do anything. Shadow Crash is really good for PvP, but it isn't that big of a deal. It does a lot of damage if you hit 2-3 people, but if you hit one single target, you just get a tiny buff. And Searing Nightmare doesn't do anything. Chaos Bolt is for PvE. Incinerate and Immolate is more overall damage in PvP. But I would still say that Destro is the weakest Warlock spec out of all 3 of them. And Protection Warrior, absolutely nothing. Because nobody plays Protection in PvP, because it's absolutely garbage. Now we shall move on to the PvP changes. So first of all, next season, higher item levels, a new title, Eternal Glad, a weapon illusion called Eternal Flux, a new color for your mount, and that's pretty much it for that. Death Knight spell was reduced by 25%. That basically means that DKs are going to be squishier into casters, and that's about it. So you're going to be less tanky to casters. And Brutal Grasp is getting nerfed by 50%. That is your A-Bomb. And A-Bomb is your main damage ability. So DK is going to have really shitty burst next season. So Unholy got heavily nerfed, I would say, because of this. Dancing with Fate got reduced by 25%. Was 100% before. So that basically means that their single target is going to be a little bit less damage. But the bigger nerf is the AoE damage. So if people are stacking, this is going to be a huge nerf. So that basically means in 2v2, it isn't a big deal. In 3v3, it is. Deathborn is reduced by 5%. The only spec that plays Deathborn is Frost Mage, not Fire or Arcane. So this is just a small nerf to Frost, but almost nobody plays Frost anyways. Incantator's Flow no longer has a reduced effect when engaged in PvP combat. I have no clue what that means. But the only specs that play Incantator's Flow is Arcane and Frost. So that means Arcane and Frost got buffed a little bit, I guess. Arcane Missile increased by 15%. This will make Arcane a little bit more viable, but for the most part, it most likely is still gonna be garbage. But who knows? We shall see in the next season. Blazing Soul, whenever you blink, you get a shield. This gets reduced by 50%. So that means that Fire Mage got less tankiness. But we will have more item levels, so this would probably still be OP. Let's be real. But we shall see. And Frost basically got more instant damage from Ice Lance and Frozen Orb. But if you look at the damage breakdown of Frost Mage, 60 to 90% of your damage is all Frostbolt anyways, so it doesn't matter. Rising Sun Kick from Mistweaver and Blackout Kick got increased by 25% in PvP. This is absolutely worthless, in my opinion. I play Monk myself. This is only useful in 2v2. And in 3v3, only the first part of the buff is useful. Because in 3sh, you would never ever Blackout Kick somebody. Unless you're 100% HP and nothing is happening. You would only sometimes dash in, hit the Rising Sun Kick, then move out. So this is a huge buff in 2s. In 3s, does absolutely nothing. Blade of Justice increased by 20, Crusader increased by 30, Hammer of Wrath by 15, and Avenging Wrath nerfed by 5%. So that Paladin is already really OP this season. Next season, they're gonna even be more OP. But this is way too overbuffed. I have no clue why they buffed Red Paladin so hard, because they're already way too strong. It is what it is. Greater Fate has been reduced by 15%. I mean, increased by 15%. But it means they avoid CC less, and they can die more often, I guess. Flash heal reduced and heal reduced. This basically means that Holy Priest will go faster, and they will have less instant healing because they get a Surge of Light proc. Surge of Light proc gives you Flash Heal instant cast. If you get an instant cast, that's a lot of self-healing and Serenity as well. Shadow Dust is only for Outlaw Rogue. Whenever they kidney, they can vanish and re-kidney you. And now it will take a little bit longer. Sepsis Shock is an... is the Night Fae ability for Rogue. Whenever they press Sepsis and combo with Vendetta. This basically means that Asa Rogue will most likely play a different conduit if they do play Asa. And if they do play Night Fae, they will have a little bit less burst. Sub Rogue have his damage reduced by 10%. This seems like a huge nerf, but in reality this does absolutely nothing. Because this 10% nerf will just get removed by gear. So this 10% nerf is in actuality maybe an 3 to 5% nerf. So Rogue is still going to be completely broken next season. And we got resolved an issue that caused Deeper Dagger Conduit to affect non-rogue abilities. So apparently this was a bug, and this conduit affected Resonator Trinket, what I've heard. Basically just a bug fix. Chain Heal is no longer reduced in PvP by 30%, so Chain Heal AoE got buffed, but Chain Heal is super unreliable, so not that big of a buff. If they increase the Chain Heal range, then this would be huge, but if you do not stack a lot, then this doesn't do anything, to be honest. Health Fun effectiveness increased by 20% in PvP combat. It's only useful for Demo Lock because Desert Lock plays Sacrifice Pet, and Affliction plays Sacrifice Pet, so this doesn't do anything at all. That's for Demo. So Demo Pet is going to be pretty much unkillable in next season. UA damage increased by 15%. Huge buff. Actually almost broken. And Backlash damage when dispelled deals 20% more damage but can no longer crit. It doesn't matter that it could crit before. This 20% damage increase is huge. Because crit is RNG. And 20% flat is just 20% flat. And Corruption is one of your main damage abilities. I believe it's like number 1 or secondary on your damage. So I think next season Affliction might be the best block spec, if not second best. Well, it's second best right now, but it's gonna be really strong. And Dark Souls got nerfed by 10%, so that means they have less burst when they're popping. But it's still gonna be OP. And for Demo, their spell lock is going from 24 to 30. That means that there's gonna be a 6-second increase on their spell lock. And that's pretty much it. I went over everything. Now I'm gonna make the tier list for the next season quickly. So Affliction, probably A tier. Arcane, D tier. Most likely. Maybe C, but I'm still assuming D. Arms, A. Asa, A. Guardian, D. DK, F. Useless. DM Hunter, S tier. Is this the Boom? Boomkin A tier. Brewmaster F tier. Demo S tier. Destro C tier. Disc A. Ellie A. Enhancement A. They're like similar to each other. Pedal S tier. Firemage S tier. Frostmage. Frostmage. Probably B tier. Unholy C. Beauty S tier. Demon Hunter. B tier. Demon Hunter Tank F tier. Holy Priest S tier. Holy Paladin A tier. Hunter A tier. Mistweaver Monk C. Definitely. Outlaw S tier. Hot Paladin D tier next season. Hot Warrior F tier. Resto Druid. Resto Druid, I would say B tier. And the same goes for Shaman. That Paladin A tier. SP is better than Destro, so that goes to B as well. Subbroke S tier. Rival S tier. And Unholy. Unholy is between B and A. I honestly think it's B, because it's very similar to Demon Hunter, and they're getting nerfed. And then you put Windwalker on D tier. The only thing I might change my mind on is maybe I put Arcane Mage on C tier instead, but I think for the most part I would keep it similar to this. So pretty much whatever is OP this season is gonna be even more OP next season.